one of my favorite quotes is by Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, "No one can make you feel bad about yourself without your consent."
Pam Oliver, the veteran Fox Sports reporter and former All-American athlete, cut her teeth in local news before becoming one of the most recognizable faces on the NFL sidelines. I talked to her about her journey and how she's dealt with the recent firestorm of critical tweets about her appearance. Welcome, Pam Oliver.
It's good to
Thank
be
you for
here with
coming
you.
in.
It's my pleasure.
Welcome to New York City. I know you've been here a lot.
I have been here. Love it here. It's one of my favorite places, and I think it's great to be able to hold a Super Bowl here. It's different, you know. I know a lot of people were, I don't know about that open air thing, but I think it's going to be fun.
You're busy this week.
Yeah, it's a crazy week. Good crazy though. You want to sort of take everything in while you're doing your work, so not to miss the forest for the trees. So that's what is the most important thing to me.
And your time at Fox Sports now,
Yeah.
How many years has it been?
It's 19 years.
Okay, 19
At
years.
one place. Is in television, are you kidding me? This doesn't happen.
And especially for you, because before you were there, you did a lot of other things. You
Yes.
you really worked your way up. You're a
Started
success.
with agriculture. Didn't know a thing about agriculture, but guess what? You figure it out. So you want to go with whatever opportunity you have. It's interesting, the Florida A&M, they were almost like my agent in the beginning. They said, there's this opening here we think you should go for. Then the second job I had in Huntsville, Alabama, where I did space and science, FAMU helped to facilitate it. So, you know, to have that kind of support, and I tell kids all the time, go where you can get a job.
Yeah.
They said, what's the secret? Well, go find a job, you know, wherever you can get it.
And you can't be afraid to go to Huntsville, Alabama,
Right.
and you went to Buffalo and all these other markets.
You don't know anybody. You just focus on the task at hand, and you want to get better, and you want to have all sorts of opportunities.
Going back, you were an All-American athlete, 400 meters and the mile relay.
Yeah.
And you were in the Olympic trials. You did all of
No,
that.
I didn't do Olympic trials. I qualified.
You qualified
but
for the Olympic
it was
trials.
between trying to go for that when your time was so average. If you get out of the first heat, it was a miracle. But my goal was never to, you know, go beyond my college years as far as track and field went. I was trying to
really
start my
dominated
journalism
your
career.
time.
Yeah, it was a job. You went to class, you went to practice, you went to class, and you went to practice. It was track. It starts really in the fall and sometimes in the summer. So it's year round. You get a couple months off, but that's the way it worked with collegiate athletics, especially something like track and field.
Do most people that you interview, are they aware of the fact that you have this athletic background?
No, I don't think so, because these kids were pretty much born when I graduated from college.
Well, that's
they
not the
are
only
so
reason.
young, but no, it doesn't come up that much. But I think what helps me with sports and understanding athletes is having gone through
Sure.
that and understand what's required and the dedication, and you know, you have goals and you want to do well as best you can.
And when you got into sports, you also covered TNT basketball, right?
Yeah.
All of these other things. But this phenomenon happened, this thing called cable.
Yeah.
And when it exploded, it really did. You were one. Do you consider yourself one of the earliest women in there? I mean, you're a young woman, but
A lot of people say
it's
that.
a sad
and-
commentary
yeah.
that it has taken this long for women to really break through.
Yes, and a lot of people cringe, but Jane Kennedy was one of the first African American women, if not the first, to have that visibility. A lot of people talked about her beauty and all of that, but you know, that doesn't change the fact that she was on television doing sports, and that impressed me. Phyllis George, Gail Gardner, Robin Roberts, you know, she beat everybody to the punch, and you kind of forget, since she's gone over, you know, to news in a lot of ways.
Athlete.
Yeah, another former athlete, and I've probably had a lot of longevity, which makes people think I've been around for a long. I guess I have been around for a long time, because these young athletes call me
great.
Miss Oliver.
By the way, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
think
you.
that that's something that's criticized. I went back to a USA Today column where a guy criticized you and said that your clothes were too revealing. Do you even remember that? I think it was Rudy Martsky.
Yes.
Years ago,
Yeah.
someone who's written a lot of positive things about you.
Rudy got lit in pretty good about that. I don't think that's my MO. For whatever reason, the top that I was wearing was a V-neck, and we were in Arizona, where that dry heat, but it was like 110 on the field, so I shed my jacket. But he felt that a V-neck T-shirt was too revealing. This was on the heels of, I think, Jill Arrington having the nerve to wear kind of a tank top style top, and I remember calling Rudy and saying, "You have got to be kidding me." I think I called him a name, but I won't share that. But I thought that was the silliest thing I'd ever heard.
And you've been criticized on the other side.
Oh yeah.
Mainly by a lot of women on Twitter. Social media has been mean-spirited. And
that's why I don't partake. I don't Twitter. I don't Facebook. I don't do any of those things. It's just an invitation to hear bad things about yourself or people's opinion. But I balance it out. But for everybody that kind of hates the ground you walk on and feel like you should not even breathe the air, same air, I don't pay attention to anonymous people.
Back up though. What is that about?
My not participating?
No,
or?
when
I think
people, I guess this phenomenon of hating, which is what we call it.
Yeah, because I can't imagine what kind of life you lead if you have time to spew that kind of venom towards somebody you don't even know me, or a lot of people you tend to criticize. But the little bit I've looked at, the funny thing is when they start on you and then they turn on each other. So I don't understand it. Are your kids in the other room? Did you sneak off at lunch break to do this? I mean, who has time? And it is mean-spirited, and I don't judge the people that take part in it, but I'm curious about the psychology of it and what makes humans feel better, or why you take the time out of your day and your life and taking care of your family to, try to abuse somebody. But one of my favorite quotes is by Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, "No one can make you feel bad about yourself without your consent." So I'm too busy to care.
How do you deal with it?
I don't deal with it. It doesn't impact my life in any possible way. I don't seek it out. Every now and then, if there's some kind of storm, my husband, who monitors a lot of this stuff, he'll say, you're trending. And I'm saying, is it trending? Is that a good thing? Or he's like, do I win something? And he's like, not in this case. So he sort of picks and chooses what he wants to tell me, because he knows half of it is beyond, first, all of it's beyond your control, but if you let it enter your world and your thinking and how you feel about yourself, I got a pretty healthy self-esteem, and they really need to know that it's a waste of time.
I've followed your work all these years. You're an excellent reporter. You've gotten some huge interviews. You're fearless about the questions that you ask. But I wanted to ask you about that because it was important to me, because it's a theme that I see over and over again. There was an African-American woman in Louisiana who wore an afro, who was a meteorologist. Someone commented on social media, and she decided to write a very thoughtful letter back, and she was fired, and she lost her job as a result of writing a letter back to this person. But her argument was that her natural hair is her natural hair, and she wanted to wear that. But I haven't seen that she's been rehired.
Yeah.
What is it going to take for that to be possible, for someone to do that?
It's going to take a news director who sees the talent in this young lady, who goes beyond something like an afro. We still, in those times, you see, there should be some more diversity than we're seeing, not just in terms of race, but just in terms of people being different. Somebody's different. You do see a clone of people. It's the same person, it's the same girl, and I think these news directors are sensitive to what these people out there that they sample have to say. And I think eventually, I don't think I'll see it, but eventually there will be enough people who will say, she's qualified, does a great job, I can't believe she's not working. But I just think you don't have to be brave, you should just be fair and smart. If it's a good hire, it's a good hire.
One thing that really bothers me is that they put the women on the sidelines. But I haven't seen many in the box and doing the commentary. But that's got to be one of the hardest jobs, because you get one chance to ask one really good question, and then how much time do they get?
Post game is usually 2 questions, 3 questions at the max. So you've got to really center in on what it is you need, what is the natural. You listen to what the guy says in the first answer, and you kind of go from there. But you know that you have a hard out. So you just try to be smart with the questions. The guys up in the booth, Troy and Joe, are completely jealous of the vantage point that I have. I get to see it. It's fast. It's furious, and you really have to be keen on paying attention. You have 20-something cameras, so you want to find something else. You want to look for something that you can share with the broadcast, share for the broadcast.
If the head of Fox Sports came to you right now and said, we're going to give you a pen and we're going to let you write yourself a check to do whatever you want to do, would the Pam Oliver Show be one of them?
No, actually.
What would it be?
I'm a reporter. I think I am, it's just what matters to me. I like to, people would always say, have your own show, be a host, and like that's the most important thing. What I'd like to do if it was a Pam Oliver Show is an interview show, like in the Mike Wallace days, where it's that just totally black background and it's you and that person with no Cirque du Soleil flying in the background or anything like that, and you're just talking.
What advice do you give to young women who want to break in? Because I know there must be thousands of people writing you saying, you're my mentor from afar, I admire, I want to be you, but most of them, or a lot of them, probably don't even know what it took for you to get there.
And that's the disappointing part. I worked with a young lady in New Orleans, and she sent me an email after the experience saying, oh, she really wants to do what I do, and how did I get to the top of my profession? But she said, how do I get started and established quickly? Quickly. I mean, I was flabbergasted, and I didn't even know what to say back to that. And that goes back to, you have to start where you can get a job and where you can get experience and get your hands dirty. I just know what it's like to, I didn't do the one-man band thing in Albany, even though I was hired for that. So some kind of way I snuck out of that. But you have to understand that sacrifices must be made. You just stay true to the business, the journalism, and go from there. But don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. It's silly.
Is it a function of the reality TV culture and the idea that people see people become famous for nothing, and this generation, especially millennials, don't get to see the journey? Yeah.
I think a lot of it too has to do with wanting things too quickly and assuming that it's easy. A lot of these young women that I run into are sometimes into it just to be on television, and that really disturbs me. I'm, oh, how's your writing? Do you know the process of interviewing? How are you on doing your own research? A lot of times they hand things to you now, and here's the notes and here's the. I just don't understand that process. But a lot of these young girls have to understand there's a sacrifice to be away from your family, to move to places you don't know a single soul. So I always say, just if you have to go the long way, go the long way. It took me 8 years to get into sports. And it was a fluke when I did, but it did happen. I used to volunteer. Can I come in on the weekend to cover this marathon? And for whatever reason, there was just always this resistance. But at the same time, it's like, news isn't so bad. This is not so bad. I'm still learning my craft. So then the sports thing happened. My news director said, this is the biggest step down that you could ever take. And Bob Franklin, wow. I run into him occasionally. So he said, well, so what? I was wrong. So what? I was wrong.
Indeed, he was. Yeah. Final question. Who is your favorite? Who gives you the best interviews, you think, or the best stuff?
You know what? The professionals, the guys, stars.
You have a
basically
name that you can give us?
One of my favorites to interview is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
He's consistent. I can count on him. Even Peyton Manning. He's consistent. Some of these quarterbacks are just whichever way the wind's blowing, but I can always count on them to stop by and talk to me.
Seasoned guys who both have a blue-collar work ethic.
Yes, exactly.
Pam Oliver.
I appreciate it.
Thank
This
you
was
so much for
fabulous.
coming in. I appreciate it.
You got it.
And with Pam Oliver, I'm Lee Hawkins. See you next time.